Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
It's the Why Roman Reigns Should Turn Heel Broken Record Edition. I'm Ollie Davis. This is Luke Owen. Welcome to WrestleRamble, where, hot take, after watching this week's Raw, Roman Reigns should probably turn heel, shouldn't he? You know what this is? I'm done. I broke last week. Broke an Ollie Davis. I think it happened in the WrestleRamble episode, where I just kind of like put all my hate of Roman Reigns' character and displeasure with how he's been booked, not the person, not the wrestler's talent, not him as a performer, but the way he's been presented in WWE. I put like all of that got kind of pushed to the back for the build to WrestleMania because it was so predictable. He's gonna beat Brock, he's gonna become the Universal Champion, and then finally after 4 years, he's the top guy, and okay, it's the era of Roman Reigns. Fine, okay. Let's just do that. Okay, I'll enjoy everything else. My mind's resigned to this fact, but I'm not going to moan about everything else because it is like white noise after a while, a broken record. But then at WrestleMania, and it was a shocking result, I cannot deny that. And for that, it was fun. But Brock retained. And like as soon as that bit, like the way this coping strategy I built up for Roman Reigns not turning heel, it was shattered by that. And now I'm just like, everything I see about him, and it's just a failed experiment. We're going to get into the planted fans theory shortly as well. But it's just, Raw is short on heels after the superstar shake-up draft, whatever it was. There aren't many heels on Raw, and Brock Lesnar is not there a lot, maybe even fewer appearances going forward, depending on the nature of his contract. I guess we'll see what happens on Friday's Greatest Royal Rumble show. But they've got quite a few baby faces, so maybe... your biggest babyface is Braun Strowman. That's this week's reason why Roman Reigns should turn heel, because Braun Strowman really should be your top guy. He's definitely the most popular going by crowd reactions, and Roman Reigns is even worse than getting booed John Cena style. It's ambivalence now, and he just feels like he's falling down the card, but he's still at the top. Yes. Okay, that's my piece. Say yours, Lee.
Your piece. I was going to say, if you clicked on this video thinking like, wow, I found a video from 2015 of the WrestleRamble, rest assured, this is a recent video. We are posting this after WrestleMania 34.
And let me get into why I think Dolph Ziggler should get a push and Bray Wyatt's being booked wrong.
Why Daniel Bryan should have won the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
Why he should have been entrant number 30 if we want to go back even further. It's a weird one, like, because... I've argued on this show, and I still argue, that in the lead up to WrestleMania 34, there was a brief window where Roman as a babyface was almost working. It just felt like it was almost working, because they had this storyline where it was like, oh, Brock's not showing up. I'm here busting my ass, I'm here, and I'm actually here to wrestle. Brock's not here. Brock was supposed to be here, but he's not here. And when Brock did show up, eventually he was getting booed. He was getting booed out of the building. That was also helped by the fact that there was all these reports that he was leaving WWE and going to UFC. He was almost getting that WrestleMania 20 reaction of just like, mate, you're done. I don't care about you anymore. Get out of my city. Get off my lawn. So there was kind of that. But there was also, Roman was still getting booed. However, he was then also getting cheered. Case in point, the one where he was suspended. The one where Vince McMahon suspended him, then he just showed up a week later. Way to make us miss him there by just having him show up, 7 days after the fact. And he showed up, and when they said, "Oh, Roman Reigns is still suspended," and the crowd cheered because, hey, he's suspended, he's not going to be on the show. Then he showed up, and the crowd cheered that he was there, and then cheered when he was beating up Brock Lesnar, and cheered and booed when he was then getting beaten down by Brock Lesnar. And I thought to myself, like, it worked remarkably. This tactic, which I didn't think would work, has worked. But it was a very, very brief window. And you then look at WrestleMania 34 and what happened then. And then you look at the fact that, people aren't really that fussed on Roman. They're not really booing him. They're not really cheering him. He's just there. And it's gotten to the point now where, like, I'm a Roman Reigns defender. I think that he is an excellent in-ring talent. I think that he, when given very short stuff, is quite a decent little promo. But whenever I hear the dun dun, I'm like, mate, I'm not that bothered. I'm not into his feud with Brock Lesnar. I wasn't really into the feud going into WrestleMania. I'm even less enthused by it now. I'm not excited for their cage match at the Greatest Royal Rumble. I'm more or less ready for something else. But I don't think there is going to be a something else. Now, to your point, I do think that there needs to be a change, a shake-up in the main event scene of Raw. And I made this point on my Who Won the Superstar Shake-Up video that went up on Saturday, but I also made that point on the Sunday video as well. One of the names that I suggested should have been traded was Randy Orton from SmackDown to Raw, because Raw didn't get any main event stars in their shake-up, unless you count Jinder Mahal as a former WWE champion. And as some people argued in the comments, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn could also be argued as main event talent. So if you're looking at that then and say, like, okay, cool. So we've got our main eventers and our main event heels on Raw are Jinder Mahal, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn. Are those your three top heels? Could you? Is that what you're thinking for Raw?
Well, yeah. I mean, just by default. But Jinder Mahal really isn't, as we've seen, and he is kind of in the mid-card picture. He lost to Chad Gable this week. I don't think even WWE see him now as a main event heel or face. Although I'm sure Vince McMahon very much wants to do Jinder Mahal versus Roman Reigns for the Universal title next year.
Mate, it could happen this year. We're talking about next year.
And what? There's another WrestleMania this year. Oh, you just... Right,
it could be any... That would headline any show across the country.
And Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I love Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I think people confuse, like, at what we say sometimes as criticism directed to the people themselves or their talents rather than the presentation of WWE by them. So I love Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, huge fan, but let's face it, they are not presented very well at all and haven't been for the last year. Kevin Owens hasn't been near the top title. He's been in the United States title picture or feuding with Shane McMahon. And this week, they pretty much got squashed around by Lashley and Strowman, which is, fine because they are Lashley and Strowman, but that kind of loss is going to put them down a level.
Yeah,
they're not main eventers to me.
Exactly, they're not being presented as main eventers.
Yeah.
They're presented at that sort of upper mid-card level, which means it's a weird case then. If Jinder, Kevin and Sami are being presented at upper mid-card level, there are no heels. And it also means that when Brock drops the Universal Championship, your main event picture on Raw is three guys. It's Roman, Braun and Lashley. All three are babyfaces because equally, Seth Rollins and Finn Balor are also positioned as upper mid-carders. They're positioned in that IC title picture. They'll likely be feuding with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn probably throughout the summer. So that means you've got three main eventers there, and it's three baby faces.
Bobby Roode, he could have been a heel guy in that top mix, but again, they've he won in that 10-man tag, but he didn't get very much reaction. He lost this week to Elias, so that puts him down at another level. I guess you've got the Drew McIntyre, Dolph Ziggler team, which are hugely promising, and I have kind of turned a corner on what we said last week. Like, is that a waste of Drew McIntyre? Could he have just debuted in the main event, really? Yes. And there's still an argument for that, but that seems to be a long, slow build, which might be a better way of doing it. We'll have to wait and see. So Drew isn't going to be in that top mix for a while, I presume. They're going to go for the tag belts. So yes, I mean, looking at that landscape, surely someone's got to turn, and surely it's got to be Roman.
Well, logic would dictate that yes, it should be Roman. This was a hot crowd all night.
Yes.
The crowd were super into basically everything that was on the show. Even when they were what was put in front of them was mediocrity, they were still really into basically everything that was on this show. But they were so into Braun. So into Braun.
Yes.
It was incredible how much this crowd were into Braun as this babyface. They built that hot tag so well, and they just kept delaying it, and the crowd just got more and more hot. I'll say Michael Cole as often as we do because he's not particularly good, and it's technically not his fault. It's just these are the rubbish that he's fed. But he said this place is coming unglued, and it did feel like the crowd was just going unglued because they were so desperate to see Braun get in. And when Braun got in, when they then built up to him tagging Lashley back in, Lashley got a louder pop than the first time he was wrestling because he almost got a rub from Braun being in the ring. It was incredible, really, how much of a heat transference, as you would often say, #heat transference. It was just kind of incredible how much Braun is a star to the crowd.
A babyface star.
A babyface star, which this company does not have a lot of on Raw.
An organic, genuine babyface star. You've got Daniel Bryan, you've got AJ Styles, and Braun Strowman.
Yeah.
So why not just strap the rackets to all of them?
Exactly. So I'm always dropping rackets to people.
And it's just like Braun Strowman should be your top babyface star, which either you put Roman Reigns as your second babyface star, but then you've still got the rest of the problem. Who does Braun Strowman feud with? It's way past time, and it's even more past time after that Roman Reigns defeat. I don't even know why he's getting a rematch. It's such a late... We used to say that this is an incredibly told story with Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns protecting their finishing moves, keeping them, coming together and bashing apart at the SummerSlam when he lost, and throughout, keeping them both strong, and then they finally collide at WrestleMania. We said that was a brilliant story just told with the wrong person. But now, after that, the final installment, the final chapter, which should have been WrestleMania, has made it a bad story. And now you've got this weird hangover epilogue to make it an even worse story. It's turned into a complete botch.
I genuinely do think that it wasn't the match that really hurt the people's opinion on Roman. The people after WrestleMania, it wasn't the loss at WrestleMania that I think hurt Roman. The match that hurt Roman. It was the loss that hurt Roman. Because now people just took him as like, mate, you're the guy that just keeps trying and keeps losing. Why would I be invested in you? You've tried Brock like 3 or 4 times. You've lost every single time. Yeah, like, you took quite a beating, as they keep trying to put over on commentary. It's like, but you still lost. Like, this isn't Rocky. Like, you still lost, mate. And I don't think the crowd particularly care to see him in a rematch. Even if he does win in Saudi Arabia, where he's likely going to get a better reaction. Like, I just still think that WrestleMania was the right time. If you were going to pull the trigger on it, WrestleMania was the right time to do it. And I think that the WWE swerved for the sake of doing a swerve, because it was reported that Roman Reigns was walking out as the Universal Champion. So they did a swerve for the sake of doing a swerve, and I think it's hurt Roman in the long run.
Definitely. And you mentioned Greatest Royal Rumble. That's where the rematch is taking place. The rematch which really has no justification for happening.
The justification is he took a hell of a beating.
And Lesnar wants you in a cage now. It's like, why? Why? So that this, as much as Roman should turn heel, and he really, really should, I can't see it happening at Greatest Royal Rumble.
No.
Because it seems like they've delayed that win, if he does win, so he gets a bigger reaction from a more likely sympathetic crowd.
The best time they had to turn him heel was last year. I think it was Great Balls of Fire, when they did the ambulance spots.
Yes.
Like, it was a perfect...
No, the Undertaker. When he retired, the Undertaker coming out then.
God, there's so many chances. I was about to say there's another one we could have done, but yeah, like that, where you could have done that double turn with Roman and Braun, where it was like, Roman has turned heel and Braun has become this gigantic sympathetic babyface. Like, this would be a really awesome way, but then they just carried on the direction they were going. It is I'm really unenthused by Raw at the moment, and it's not just due to the superstar shakeup. It's not just the sort of the post-Mania come down. As I said to you before we came in to record this, I just feel like that Raw is on hold for the moment. It doesn't feel like nothing has progressed since WrestleMania. We're 3 weeks out from 3 weeks past WrestleMania now, and it doesn't feel like anything has moved forward since. And it doesn't feel like anything is going to move forward until after Backlash, which it's like this go home angle for Roman and Brock. Because you got to remember, this is a go home angle to make you want to buy the WWE Network and watch Greatest Royal Rumble. not exactly like the killer go-home angle you could really write.
I mean, I would have had them tug of war over the belt, right?
Well, I mean,
that's the money go home.
I'll be honest, as much as it's easy to make fun of that because it is among the worst go-home angles they've ever done in their entirety, and that is a long entirety, and at least it was something. Like here, he just went, cool, I'll see you Friday. Yeah. And then left. It was awful.
If I wasn't sold on Roman Reigns now, boy howdy.
Oh, boy howdy. He's tied his hair back.
Yeah.
Now I'm into him.
He's not wearing tracksuit bottoms anymore either. He's serious. Should we get on with the whole Raw show? We'll review the whole thing.
Do we want to do Patreon shout-outs
first? I thought we could do that after the bell. Because there'll be a bit now.
Cool, but you've just said, like, we'll do the Raw.
But then we come back, and I'm like, oh... Caught you out. Now here's the bell thing.
All right, okay, cool.
Smooth transition.
Let's do another take of that.
Speaking of swerves, it's not the Raw review. We're going to do the Patreon bits.
Oh, mate,
we did not see that coming.
Fooled everyone.
So, of course, these Patreon shout-outs are to those of you who have donated $25 or more on Patreon, which, if you... Oh, I haven't got my book.
It's because it's up there.
It's over there. So, if you donate $10 or more, you get exclusive Patreon access to Ramble Club, where we not only review all the outside, well, as many as we can get our hands on, outside WWE matches.
Which matches did we review?
Well, this month we covered, I covered a lot of Zack Sabre Jr. stuff from the New Japan Cup, and you did
covered all of
it, and you did
a lot of stuff over Mania weekend, like the gruesome match between PCO and Volter.
Matt Riddle, James Ellsworth.
Matt Riddle, James Ellsworth. Matt Riddle, Will Ospreay, which might be one of my favourite matches of the year. The six-person tag team championship between SoCal Uncensored and the Hung Bucks. Great stuff on there.
But the real draw of the podcast is Big Apple Takedown. This is a WWE novel from 2006 where John Cena, Batista, Booker T, and Triple H, and of course... I've forgotten her name.
Tori Wilson.
She's
your favourite.
I know she's my favourite, especially on this cover. They go to take down a meth lab.
It was Breaking Bad before Breaking Bad was even a thing. Rumour has it that the creator of Breaking Bad, whose name I do not know because I've never seen the show, read this book and all of a sudden had the idea to be like, oh, actually, I might do a series based around a meth lab.
And so we just read it and go through like a few pages an episode, which takes quite 45 minutes.
Yeah, if you've ever heard the podcast My Dad Wrote a Porno, it's not too dissimilar to that, only there's less gratuitous language in there, I suppose.
This is incredible, but it's very, very good. So,
but anyway, back to the point.
The $25 get a shout-out on WrestleRamble.
They get all of that, and this.
So, thank you. Let's have a drink, Christopher Travis Merriman.
Poorly Dangerously German.
$100 Man, CD Horver.
John McBride of Frankenstein.
The Craftsman, Blake Carpenter.
Michael, Name Your Price.
Kevin Razmataz Chappell?
So close.
Chapel.
Close. Yes, Chapel. Where are we? Notorious Little Dre.
Courtney, Villainous Havoc Summers.
Who you can follow on Twitter at Villainous Havoc. I trust you as Samphara as I can throw you.
Nicely done.
Thank you.
David Hendricks' God, Mackenzie.
Christopher the Condor Johnson.
The incredible Jorge Henriquez.
Rob Pontin Problems Pontin.
Matthew, Preston City Wrestling.
Sean, Far From Bland Blandford.
And Richard the Dragon Stevens.
So that's the first batch of our $25 shoutouts. The rest of them will come tomorrow in the SmackDown review. Haha, it's a Raw review looking jacked, man.
So let's talk a bit about Raw. No, we're not going to talk about Raw just yet. That was another swerve. Because Luke and I tonight, this is just a brief preview for tomorrow's podcast. So you have to download the WrestleRamble podcast if you want to listen to this. It's free, don't worry. And it's free wherever you get your podcasts from iTunes, all of them, all of the things. And we are seeing Avengers Infinity War tonight. Oh my god,
I'm so excited.
So it's 2 days before it comes out.
I've been on a bit of an MCU binge as of late, trying to just catch up. I might even put the Avengers on in the background today while we're working, but I watched Spider-Man Homecoming over the weekend. I've recently rewatched Guardians 2 and Thor Ragnarok. I am pumped for this movie.
Very hyped.
So I am Mojo Rawley levels of hyped.
Annoyingly hyped.
Oh, annoyingly hyped.
So we're seeing that, and of course this is a wrestling show, so we won't put it in the YouTube wrestling version, but we will put it in the outro of tomorrow's podcast, the SmackDown review podcast. So if you so you can avoid spoilers. We won't do spoilers, but if you don't want to hear anything about it at all, don't worry. The intro just won't load up with Captain America dies. So check out the podcast tomorrow for that.
Haha, it's a Raw review looking jacked, man.
Now here's the Raw review.
Problem is, though, although we did some swerves there, the title cards would have said otherwise, unless I do put the Raw review title card in each one of them.
Yes.
Yeah,
Let's do that one.
Yeah, let's do that
Let's
one.
work this out on the fly. Professional. So the Raw opened with The Raw. That opened with a Bruno Sammartino tribute, 10-bell salute. Everyone was out there with their Bruno Sammartino shirts on.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it was, and it was very nice. And there was a very nice video package with some really nice comments from people, and then comments that were just like, "Could you say this and act like you remembered it?"
The ones that stood out for me were Roman Reigns and The Miz. They just felt so rehearsed.
Miz is so good at being a talking head, but the problem is he's so good, everything he says sounds disingenuous.
And there were a few people that didn't wear the shirts. Everyone, if the heels and faces were wearing the T-shirts, unless you're Vince McMahon or the occasional person in a suit.
Or Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar wasn't there.
No.
But Victor from the Ascension. Victor, I just think he's going to get some heat from all the weird things that people get heat for. I can see someone's, I don't know, maybe they ran out of T-shirts.
That's what that's going to be my suggestion.
I thought we traded to everyone to SmackDown. Didn't
should
know
have
we
a
needed
Vince
this many.
Who are you?
Yeah. Thank God Titus didn't push Vince back.
Grab him again or whatever it was they did last time.
So they did. That was all very lovely and well done, though. But next, the first segment was Brock Lesnar coming out with Paul Heyman, cutting a usual Brock Lesnar promo, and Paul Heyman was just like, spoiler, this is going to happen. Brock Lesnar's going to beat Roman Reigns at Greatest Royal Rumble, because this is the Greatest Royal Rumble go-home show. They tried to explain why it was in a steel cage. Apparently Brock just asked for it.
Well, the storyline that they went with is that Brock is so desperate to go back to the UFC and have an actual fight that he wants a cage match in Jeddah, because that's a bit like the Brocktagon.
God, that's lazy. But you don't use. I mean, I guess it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Now, the bit that's got me here, and Luke doesn't agree. I thought we were both going to come in today and go, "Wow, that was so obvious. I can't believe that." Because I just, as soon as it cut to them, I picked up on it right away, or at least assumed what they were. But you have something very different.
Well, it's not that I have something very different. So what Ollie is alluding to is that there is a theory, a conspiracy theory, that there was a group of planted fans in the audience who were there to cheer Roman's name. And you came in this morning and you text me saying title for Raw today is the Roman Reigns conspiracy. What are we going to do for WrestleRamble? And as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, so Ollie's buying into that conspiracy theory as well then, is he?
I didn't even know it was a conspiracy theory. I just thought, okay, I mean, that's the most obvious fan plant I've seen, bar, I'm going to fight one of you guys, points to the most jacked guy in the front row.
Points to Santino Marella.
Not Nicholas.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to show the pictures in the video, but just
mate, I've seen the pictures and I know what you mean. And as I said to you, if it turned out that these were planted fans, it's not like I would go well, I am shocked. Because it's not like WWE have ever done this it's not like a wrestling show has never done this thing before. WCW used to pipe in Goldberg chants into the arena to try and encourage people to chant along with Goldberg. I also don't really think the planted fans are the worst thing in the world.
But it wouldn't be, right? But it's just
because you hate Roman so much.
It's sad that it's come to this.
Yeah.
I used the line in my Raw review. It's like a madman trying to sweep away the tide with a broom.
Yeah.
It's just completely pointless. And if you are going through so much effort to distort reality like this, then it's not worth it.
That was almost poetic.
Well, but that's what it is. It's just ridiculous. So the camera, as they are wont to do in the Paul Heyman video, they cut to fan reactions, and they only actually ever cut. This is 4 separate cuts, and those are all 4 cuts. They never cut to anyone else in the arena, because usually they'll have a cut over here, a cut over there. Usually people are just looking at their phones. Not these guys, because they've been told otherwise. I'm speculating. It's the same group, but it's shot from different angles, so they don't look like the same group. And that means you've at least got 2 camera guys on, or maybe one, and he's reframing. And it's like, this is insane. Now, there's a guy in the far left of the first shot who is not a Roman fan. He's a hero. He's an old guy in an orange shirt and a red top, and he's doing the thumbs down quite heavily. But it's only like 10 people of this multiracial group of 20 to 30-somethings. God, it is transparently awful.
So, when I watched the show, I didn't look at them and go like, "Oh, they're a bunch of plants." I mean, granted, I've not like been Blade Runner and gone like, "Enhance."
Track 42 left.
Exactly.
I mean, you didn't need that though.
Well, I just thought because every show that WWE do, there is always a group of fans that are Roman Reigns fans. You and I have been to WWE shows where there are Roman Reigns fans. I've seen them in. It's like that wild.
But they behave like real people, not like Roman bots.
That wild Pokemon that you're always looking to find. You're like, you always seem to spot them at shows. So perhaps I am just being very naive in this situation. But I was like, hey, look, they've just found the usual group of Roman fans, and they're filming them for this thing. Because on the other side of that, there was someone with a phone saying, "I'm here to see Roman Reigns." So there's every chance that person was a plant as well. Or any time that these signs are there's always a chance that they're plants.
I'm not going to say anything about all the other signs and whatnot. I'm talking about this group of people who were right at ringside, who the camera cut to on 4 separate occasions in a 3-minute segment.
But they always cut to people in the
crowd. Not the same people.
It always is the same people.
No, it'll be like people over there. And they never look this much like they've got a gun held to their back. That is not genuine happiness. And that they are the people who get the Roman chant going in Paul Heyman's promo. Roman hasn't even come out yet. And that the camera is there perfectly to capture that moment.
It's a WWE production, man. Well, as I'm telling you. Dude, as I said, I'm not saying that I don't believe it's a conspiracy theory. I'm not saying that I don't believe that they are plants. They probably are plants. But at the same time...
Well, let's move on,
At the same time, I don't think plants are the worst thing, particularly if you are trying to convince people that Roman is over as a babyface. And let's be honest, if they were planted there to get a Roman chant started, it worked. Because the crowd were chanting for Roman.
No.
Yes,
they weren't.
They were.
No, that maybe a few people did, but it did not catch on. It was just that the mic was right next to them, and you could hear them.
It caught on, man.
Ah, no, I completely disagree.
It caught on.
Completely disagree. Elias was up next.
We didn't even talk about what Roman did.
We kind of said it in the first bit.
He came out and he cut. I don't know. He said, "I'll see you Friday."
He greeted his adoring fans. Why didn't he just run over to thank you for being literally hi Reg, nice to see you there this week. Christ alive. It is awful. It is awful. I hate it.
You are fired
It's
up.
insane that they're going to these lengths.
It's not insane. It's a wrestling show.
No.
It's a wrestling show. Of course they're going to these sorts of lengths.
No. That's WWE brainwash. You should. Any other promotion would have.
Every promotion has always done this.
This is for not to this extent. Sure, they'll put a few attractive fans in the crowd to make it look more sexy than it is.
It's a wrestling thing.
And
it's a carny promotion.
Yes, but it's wrong then and it's wrong now. The only times that plants are acceptable are if they're really attractive women in TNA audiences, or if they're going to be called out for a fight and answer a $1 million challenge.
Right, fair enough.
Not to to work as like a weird pseudo grassroots movement. What was their thinking? Oh, this will catch on. This is the way to do it.
It almost did.
No, it didn't. It never worked.
It almost did.
They were just
because the
Goldberg
last pipe to the audience did work. It does work sometimes. Doesn't work all the time, but it does work sometimes.
So Elias
was
doing a microphone thing.
Well, he was going to do something, but then he was interrupted by Bobby Roode instead, and Bobby Roode came out, and they had a match. They're both in the Greatest Royal Rumble.
Yeah, that was essentially the story here. The other story being, this is Bobby Roode's second week on Raw. I was kind of excited to see, like, when he comes out, I was like, okay, maybe it's just a placeholder thing because they both got kind of musical gimmicky things that they can crash against. But I don't really want to see Bobby in the Elias mix. I was hopeful that he would go up a bit higher.
Yes.
And here he lost clean.
Yeah, it was
not even a hook of the tights.
Yeah, I mean, it was sort of clean, I suppose, because
no, it was totally clean.
He pulled him into the ropes, which you could argue,
is fair.
You could argue is
it's
not,
ring smart.
It is ring savvy. But yeah, Elias did beat him basically clean as a sheet.
We're not going to get on today. I can't believe you're doing this on Infinity War Day.
I can't believe you're doing this on Infinity
I'm going to
War
be
Day.
Seething in my seat next to trying to enjoy an Avengers movie. Well, Luke said this earlier. Replaying how I could have done the argument better in my head.
This is one of those weeks where I'm super glad that I'm no longer reading comments because I know that no one's going to be on my side. I'm going to get destroyed for it, but that's
rightly so.
And probably rightly so. But anyway, it was a fine match. Rude channeled his inner Walter by doing lots of chops. That was basically my only note that I wrote for this.
Woken. Well, they're not called the Woken family, Bray Wyatt and
no, they're called
Woken Matt Hardy.
The Deleter of Worlds.
Which is like a fun play on... Like, that's a good pun. But it's not the best, is it? Like, for a team name.
No. Also, I don't think that's what... Their name bar doesn't say that, does it? It still just says Woken Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt.
Yeah. It's... I like them as an act. I like the idea of them being together, but I wouldn't have done it like this, and I don't think the presentation's working.
No.
I would have, as I said last week, Bray goes fully Woken. Not just Bray Wyatt is friends with Matt. I would have Broken or Woken Bray Wyatt.
Can 100% agree with you.
And I just hate the jarring entrance music where it goes from one into the other.
It doesn't mix.
No.
Like someone tweeted me and said, like, I can't believe you didn't like the rated RKO mix. It's like, well, there's a reason why it doesn't work is because the songs are two different tempos, and these songs are two different tempos, which means when you stop one and just play the other one, it just feels so jarring. It literally feels like someone's just pressing stop on one, pressing play on another. You've got two tape decks, and you're just doing that. It's not actually mixed together.
It's like what I thought DJing was when I was 12 years old in my room.
Yeah.
I'm going to mix this song in. I'm going to get this chorus into the verse.
Yeah.
But they beat the Ascension in just ahead of their tag title match at Greatest Royal Rumble, which they're presumably winning facing the Bar.
It's weird because they did mention that they're facing the Bar at Greatest Royal Rumble, and they did mention, it's SmackDown's the Bar. But at no point in this match did they say, God, what will happen if the Bar win the Raw Tag Team titles? What's going to happen to them? And then later on in the night, when they had the Seth Rollins and Finn Balor tag match, the commentators explicitly said, we don't know what's going to happen if The Miz or Samoa Joe wins. We haven't been told what will happen to the title or what will happen to whoever wins. And I just think, at this point, you should probably know.
I think they should have. You could have easily had the Bar run in, and cost them the match.
Yeah.
I think that would.
Well,
have been
the
better.
problem there, Ollie, is that something might have happened on this show, and I don't think that was the intent.
One thing I do like, and it is over already. I just think it's going to be an even bigger part of their act. Is the wonderful.
Oh no! Well, you said no. There was
really catching.
Problem
on.
was there was a load of plants there that were just starting the clap, and then that caught on.
Yeah, it didn't awkwardly cut to them. Smart ass. Next up, we had the Sami and Kevin show, the debut of a new talk show segment.
Debuting their new podcast.
And I really enjoyed this.
I thought this was awesome.
Yeah.
This was great.
So they had their... Because I was curious, like, how are they... What basic set are WWE going to come up with for this talk show segment? And it was super basic, but I liked just the desk, and they sat down and they had those what would you call them?
Podcast
mics. And the pictures that they had up of them beating up Daniel Bryan
and Shane McMahon. It was just like a picture of them dragging Shane McMahon to the back. My favourite little touch to this, though, is that they're sitting on these lush, leather chairs. And Kurt Angle, who was their guest, is sat on this crappy-looking deck chair that they must have got from like a flea store or something like that. Just gone down, bought it for a nickel, and set up in the ring. It looked so perfect for this set. I loved it.
Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are really good. Surprise, surprise. Sami Zayn in particular.
He was wonderful.
Well, the way he, because he said, no, wait, how many kids do you have now, Kurt? And he flicks through his notes. He does the glasses thing again, which is probably become a recurring thing,
It'll
right?
be a T-shirt soon.
And he's looking through and he goes, oh, you've got 6. I forgot Jason Jordan like you did for however many years.
Yeah, wonderful little setup.
And there was another funny line that Sami had about, Rusev's wife let him face the Undertaker.
Yeah,
and that got a bit of a cheer. It was all good, apart from Kurt Angle.
Are you trying to say that Kurt Angle was a little bit stilted while delivering scripted dialogue?
Oh, God, he was really bad. And watching this, I thought, no wonder we all like the heels more than the baby faces, because the baby faces don't get any of the funny lines.
Yeah.
All of Sami and Kevin's lines here and their performances were very, very funny. But it's like baby faces in WWE just have to say robotic speak like WWE backstage interviewers. And there's only so much you can do with that, even if you're a really talented promo. Look at The Rock or Stone Cold or baby faces from back in the Attitude Era. They were always cutting the funniest jokes.
Yep.
And the heels would get crappy jokes. And that's how you...
That's why I like the Iconics on SmackDown. Their jokes aren't funny, but they think they're hilarious. There's a great... it's an episode of SmackDown from early 2000. It's when Triple H is champion. They had a really long in-ring segment. And the only reason I remember this is because the Attitude Era podcast recently did this, one of their Patreon episodes, when Triple H is celebrating his title win, and all of DX come down and give him presents. Yeah. And they're all like really crap presents. Oh no, it was wedding gifts, because he just got married to Stephanie McMahon. He drugged her and married her. And they're all giving him wedding gifts, and they're all crap wedding gifts, but they are in hysterics at all this because they think it's funny.
Yeah.
And it's great. It was wonderful.
So that's all there is. Although Kurt did have a good line, and actually it made me more excited for Greatest Royal Rumble than anything else on the show, and this was a heavily promoting show for that event. It's where Kurt Angle says, well, it's not just me who's going to be in the Royal Rumble match this Friday, but Daniel Bryan's going to be in there. Mm-hmm. Chris Jericho's going to be in there. All the people that you've pissed off, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, we're going to come for you. And I thought, I didn't even think of that. Yeah. Like those... That sounds like an awesome dynamic, and I'm going to tune in just for that bit. Yeah, I mean, I'm not too fussed on the rest of the card because it's a televised house show, a very expensive televised house show, but it's I love a Royal Rumble match, so I will be watching it probably Monday because I'm away this weekend. So I'll probably watch it at some point. Bobby Lashley and Braun Strowman were booked in a match against Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn at the end of this. It's like Kurt's comeuppance. Mm-hmm. No good lines, no good funny lines, but he did book a match. Yeah. Next up, we got a backstage thing, which was ran through the show, the Seth Taraj.
Oh, that's an excellent name.
We had Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel, now leaderless, looking for a new faction leader. Seeing that The Miz has been drafted to SmackDown. Yeah. And they were pitching to Seth backstage about becoming the new Shield. Yes. And they even put their fists out and they revealed Monday Night Rollins t-shirts. This was very funny.
This was very funny. It was a show-long storyline, which is always nice.
Yeah, and Seth just said no, obviously. Yeah. He didn't then say, oh, okay, yeah, great idea, chaps. And yeah, we should have led with that as the main story. There's a new Shield with Bo Dallas and Curtis. Yeah. Isn't that like the new NWO with all those people who should have been in there, yeah. So then we had Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre in a squash match against Titus Worldwide.
Yeah, Dana Brooke has stolen Lacey Evans' gimmick, which I'm sure she'll be very upset. Maybe it's because she's now part of the Forgotten Sons that she's ditching that pin-up look.
Dana Brooke is just finding new ways for me to fancy her every week. This week I'm a statistician. This week I'm in my wrestling gear. Now I'm a 50s pin-up model. Okay, yeah.
Hey, man, it works.
Each week it's better than the last. What's it going to be next week? It's going to come dressed up as Misty from Pokemon.
I was going to say she's going to come dressed out as Tori Wilson, but yeah, wow. we'll go with Misty from Pokemon instead. Drew's got new music.
Yes.
Drew got new music that was rudely interrupted by Dolph Ziggler's... I'll change that. Rudely interrupted by the worst gimmick in WWE, Dolph Ziggler's record scratch. Now, I've seen a lot of people on Twitter this morning got in touch with me to say, hey, so Dolph Ziggler's record scratch finally makes sense. I was like, No, it still doesn't make sense. It's just annoying.
He's interrupting his own tag team partner's music.
That doesn't make any sense.
Why can't they just both come out to Drew's music?
Which is so much better.
Yeah. And it's the same problem as the Deleter of Worlds mishmash. I don't like it. However, the work those two guys have done to blend their movesets together is fantastic. Of course, they debuted the Claymore into the Zigzag last week, an excellent finisher. And here, they busted out. And so Drew had, I can't remember who it was now.
It was Apollo.
Apollo in an Alabama slam position, so he's draped over his back. Dolph super kicks his face, and Drew slams him with the Alabama slam.
It was great.
Awesome
stuff.
Really cool.
Yeah, it was really great.
And they beat Titus Worldwide in a few minutes, as they should. And I thought, well, that was a great showing. I'm into this. I was into the act last week, but I was trepidatious because it was Drew's main roster return, and I thought it could have been done better. But then, wow, I forgot how good a promo Drew is.
Drew is, I mean, it doesn't seem like this is the hottest of hot takes, but Drew is the star of this outfit. Holy heckins, is he the star of this outfit. Like, he's so much of a star, he makes Dolph look rubbish. Like, Dolph's not a bad promo, but Dolph, like, whenever Dolph got the mic, I was like, oh, mate, just give it back to Drew. I just want Drew to do all the talking.
I disagree. I think when Dolph spoke, which was kind of like here and there around Drew's main promo, which was calling out everyone in the back for just collecting paychecks. I'm here to show you what a real wrestler is.
Love
it was
that.
a really cool idea. And when Dolph spoke, I thought it made Dolph sound better. And I was like, well, what's the point of this? I thought Dolph was meant to give Drew the main roster rub. If anything, Drew is giving Dolph more of a star power rub than the other way around. They look great. The crowd cheered these heels. They were so convincing. And Drew is he's so impressive.
Drew's awesome. He's so good. And like what he was cutting, the promo he was cutting, it resonates with the crowd because the crowd kind of buy into what he's saying. Because at the moment, their top push babyface is someone who just seems like, who is soft. And he just is, and he feels like he's there collecting paychecks.
Yeah.
Drew feels like a genuine threat. I thought he's awesome.
Yes.
Like he's an absolute star in the making.
Love him.
Love him.
Then we had Chad Gable backstage with Kurt Angle. And you're like, well, this is what we should have got last summer, really. This makes more sense. And Chad says, I'm not going to waste my Raw...
You've made the exact same note that I have.
Chad says, I'm not going to waste my Raw move. Kurt presumably is meant to say, I know you won't.
But he says...
I know you will.
And he says it, but it was like, oh, I know you will. Like,
yeah. And then he, like, to save it, he says... something about where? He mumbled something, and the last word was where. I don't know how. I don't know what kind of a. But then they just like pummeled through. Yeah, I mean, you can mispronounce words, but saying the opposite to what you were meant to say is quite unique.
I am not going to waste my opportunity. I know you will.
It's like, okay, you can kind of say, I'm going to see you this Friday, right? You don't say, I'm going to see you this Friday.
Yeah.
Or I guess Silverdome, brother.
Yeah, and Hulk Hogan also famously said, like, you thought I was the right gay at the wrong time.
Oh, but gay's very similar to guy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not the complete opposite. So, yes, then Jinder turns up.
Right, okay, so this was a tale of two halves. Jinder came in, and he was just like, last week I wanted to be treated like a star. I was expecting superstar treatment, but instead you put me in a title match that I was not ready for, and then you traded the guy who won the belt, and he's now off to SmackDown, but it's okay, because at the Greatest Royal Rumble, I'm going to win the title back, and I would like to then be transferred to SmackDown. I was like, that's pretty good.
Yes.
And then Chad Gable kind of steps in. I can't remember what Chad was saying.
He says, show some respect, buddy.
Whatever. And then Jinder had a great line where he was like, I didn't even recognize you. You got a headband, you grew your hair out, you got an outfit. I didn't recognize Braun's former tag team partner. I was like, that's a great line. And the crowd really reacted. And then he said, and this is where the Tale of Two Halves comes in, oh, I thought Mini-Me died. And I was like, oh, that's not as funny. And actually, it's kind of detracted from your first joke, which was so much better, rather than pointing out that Vern Troyer has sadly passed away.
Especially for a show that opens with a tribute to Bruno Sammartino. You thought they'd be a bit more sensitive about people dying. But Jinder, performance-wise, very good.
Great.
Really good. And this turned into a match where Chad Gable is entering the ring, but Jinder attacks him, and Jinder sort of works over Chad forever. which I didn't mind. I thought this was a nice way to get the crowd behind Chad Gable, and then Chad Gable gets a win at the end by neatly reversing the Coloss,
yeah,
off the ring post, the turnbuckle, and then
the old
sort
Piper
of,
Bret Hart spot.
So I like this. I liked it. I saw a few people quite bored by the match, but I was into it.
I was mostly bored during Jinder's beatdown anyway.
Yeah.
But I thought the ending was really smart.
I just like Chad, I think.
And Chad's coming out to American Alpha's music again, so that's nice.
Then we had the Riot Squad backstage, hyping the 10-woman main event tag.
Remarkably, Liv and Sarah got mic time.
Yes. So I've got here, Ruby's a great promo. Liv Morgan said stuff. And Sarah Lowe, I don't know.
She's talking about gay meat.
Hunting gay meat. Well, I used to down at the farm and go out shoot some gay meat.
Your Sarah Logan impression might be my favourite thing that we have on this show.
Hey guys, just come on out. I'm gonna shoot some gay meat. I'm gonna cook you up the best gay meat meal.
It was a promo, and Ruby Riott said that they are tear gas, or something along those lines.
Ruby's good.
Ruby is great.
Samoa Joe was next, but he was on his mobile phone because he's not on Raw anymore, and he just said how he's going to beat Roman at Backlash.
Yeah.
Backlash is happening.
Yeah.
Was my takeaway from that. Then we had another kind of Seth Taraj segment. This time it opened with Bo and Curtis, and they're pitching to someone, and you don't know who it is, and then the camera zooms out, and there is a beaming
smile.
Finn Balor.
It was a smile that was larger than the frame could even handle. Not the greatest introduction. I've written here, Finn is smiling like a madman.
He's smiling like an idiot. Which is like, madman, I can buy into. I like that. If he's just manic all the time and he's beating people up, he's like this crazed demon. Cool gimmick. Not smiling like an absolute jabroni.
I feel like he's doing it now as a rib.
I think it is, and I think that's terrible.
Yeah.
Like, we're with you, man. Give us something. Don't also troll us for liking you. I don't know. I want to pop the boys. No, pop me. So yes, he said no to them becoming part of the Balor Club.
Yeah, they tried to too sweet him, and he came back in and told them to put their hands down.
That was funny.
So then Bo smiles and asks Curtis if he's thinking what he's thinking, and Curtis smiles and goes, no.
Yeah, that was good.
It's great.
That was good. The payoff wasn't. Bobby Lashley and Braun Strowman then took on Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. We've already talked about this. Braun was super over, and they win quite convincingly.
He had a spicy hot tag. Holy heckins, was this a spice? This was a Vindaloo hot tag. This was ghost chili hot tag. It was like the hottest. You know the rumored like Nando sauce that they just keep behind the counter that you're not allowed to have? That was how spicy this hot tag was, and it was terrific.
It was great. It was. Usually you get both heels into the ring and the babyface will, but they're bump and feed, and it's quite a fast tempo of clothesline, punch, whatever. But Kevin Owens was outside the ring. He was outside on the floor. So what Braun Strowman would do, he'd get in, take out Sami Zayn with one move, get out the ring, run round the ring and shoulder charge Kevin Owens, which Kevin Owens took brilliantly. He just threw himself into the barricade. But as me and Luke said earlier, I don't know if he's actually selling that at all. And it's just Braun being a big blockade.
It was.
Yeah.
Literally, a brick wall ran into Kevin Owens. And Kevin Owens was just like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'm taking this then.
He lost that brick wall fight.
He did.
And then Braun got back in the ring and did a move back. And, like, when I just didn't expect him to do it again for some reason. And he just ran back, and Kevin Owens had just gotten up, and he did the same thing the other way.
And it was because Owens selling, and if it's selling or not, was so wonderful. He just sort of got up with this look on his face, like, "What the hell just hit me?" Before he got that time to that thought to finish, wham! Like another one hit him. It was so good. Then he stood up for a third time, just as Braun had hit another move on Sami, and then got hit by the T-Rex dropkick. It was terrific. I laughed so much. This is my favourite thing on the show.
Really good.
Ooh, might be my favourite thing.
And the crowd was super hot.
So into this.
And this was the moment where you're watching Braun so over, and you're like, "This is the guy. This is the guy you give the top matches to at WrestleMania." As fun as the Nicholas stuff was, do you think the Nicholas angle has made Braun more over?
No.
But he is more over.
He was always this over, though.
No, he's more over after WrestleMania.
You reckon? I think he's always been
the crowd reactions have been insane. That 10-man main event from last week, the crowd did not care about anyone else but Braun Strowman.
Yeah, but I think that's the case on most weeks.
No, I mean, I think people were into him, but this is crowd insanity of people getting up on their feet and just, buying into that hot tag.
Oh no,
when was the last time you saw that?
I'm not sure you can attribute that to Nicholas.
Well, I'm not. I'm saying there is a correlation of him being more over with the crowd, and it is the pivot point was the Nicholas tag team.
Yeah, that's
so
interesting.
Nicholas might have given him the rub. I was concerned.
Main event star Nicholas.
I was concerned that angle would be the mark of decline for Braun.
You were very worried on our WrestleMania review.
Well, I was just because it could have gone that way. And I've got to say, maybe it's made people warm to Braun even more.
It's an interesting theory. I'm not sure I overly buy into
it. Well,
I
don't know if I buy into it. I'm just saying.
But it's very interesting. That is the pivot point.
So yes.
But this was a lot of fun.
Great. This was really good. It's just annoying that all that had to come at the expense of Braun. Sorry, at the expense of Kevin and Sami. Because they really aren't a threat.
It's also amazing as well that this is the first Raw of a new era of Monday Night Raw after the Superstars shake-up, but it didn't really feel like much had changed.
No.
It almost felt like the exact same show as we usually get. And I suddenly thought, like, all those guys that went across, and even they can't make TV here. Your Zack Ryders, your Mojos, like, they still can't get TV time. And it was a shame that it came at the expense of Kevin and Sami.
Well, No Way Jose is getting all the TV time,
well, I suppose, yeah.
So Baron Corbin made his Raw debut on this show, and not in a match, though. No Way Jose came out with his big party line. I hate it. I hate it.
No Way Rosé.
And Baron Corbin says out and is like, look, mate, I know your game. One of your conga line things going to jump me when I'm not looking. I'm not having a match with you. So no. Yeah. See you later. And he said, do you think this is fun? My idea of fun is ruining other people's fun.
Great line.
And I thought, I'm on the Baron train. I'm the Baron bandwagon for quite a while. And this was a good promo. This is a good, just mean bully presentation of his character.
Maybe we found that top level heel that you were looking for.
Not top level. Not that much.
Not that much.
Needs a few more years, a couple more Money in the Bank wins under his belt, under his tummy belt, his weird abdomen belt. I'm not going to body shame anyone. I'll leave that for Alexa Bliss. And so he walks out, and No Way Jose, like the annoying guy. I feel like Corey Graves.
I actually felt that all three of them were burying this.
Yeah.
I felt like all three of the commentators were just like, this is so lame. This guy has got a conga line, and it's dumb as all hell.
I don't know why I liked Adam Rose's Rosebuds, but the No Way Jose party makes me want to punch everyone involved, even the women.
It's steady on there.
Hey,
right?
It's just that annoying.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm going to do it.
It is unbearably annoying.
So No Way Jose's like, hey, but we can still have fun. Watch me walk around with people doing weird dances in a line. And how's that fun?
Yeah, and because this came like directly after the Braun thing, like no one was into this. Yeah, real shame.
But I did like, as soon as No Way, you could see it coming a mile off because Baron had already said, hey, one of your conga line's going to attack me from behind. Of course the conga line leaves. Baron attacks No Way Jose from behind.
Like an idiot, he took everyone out. Like he waited for everyone to pass him and then turned around like a complete doofus.
It's because Titus O'Neil was at Gorilla being like, you let all those women past. Otherwise you'll have Titus Worldwide to deal with. Manners.
But Baron came out and he attacked No Way Jose, and he delivered a devastating chokeslam backbreaker to the floor, even though they hit his knee first. So don't really hit the floor.
Then we had, which one I think is going to be your favourite part of the show.
It was among my favourite parts of the show.
Contender.
It is a contender.
This was Alexa Bliss's public service announcement, A Moment of Bliss.
I nearly started pressing the skip button because I just saw PSA and I was like, uh-oh, it's time for me to skip this bit.
Ad break.
And like an ad, exactly, I thought it might be an ad break. I'm curious to know what you thought of this.
I thought it was really funny. I thought it was really good. And I'm very, very pleased with WWE because there's some this is the right story to tell, but it's also a risque story to tell because it runs the risk of offending idiots. Right? And then you get like a whole social justice warrior reaction. When like, oh, you're body shaming Nia, how dare you? But that's not the point of the whole thing at all. Alexa's clearly hypocritical. She's clearly being insincere. This is just a way for... You're being worked, brothers. This is a way to make you hate Alexa more and to make Nia overcoming the bully and her nasty words more impactful. It's like in a high school movie. You don't go, oh my God, I can't believe they had the bullies say some nasty things to the kids who are the heroes. You don't do that. You go, oh, I'm going to wait for the heroes to rise up and take them on.
You don't side with the mouth breathers in Stranger Things Season 1.
Yeah.
You want 11 to, like, use her mind stuff and, like, break their arm and whatnot.
Exactly. So I think this was very good.
Spoilers for Stranger Things Season 1.
It was very... The presentation was nice.
So good.
It was different. The story was funny. The performance from Alexa was very, very good. She's a very good actress.
She's incredible.
And
she's so good.
It was kind of her saying, of me and anti-bullying campaign. I went out with Nia Jax and we were eating, and there was this starving old woman, and I gave her the rest of my burrito bowl, but Nia Jax just snatched it and gobbled it all up, and I'll never forget the sound of her chewing.
It was. I'll never forget the sound of her chewing and maniacally laughing.
It's so crazy.
Even much of a better visual. But like it's probably
and it's so obvious that's not true. And then Alexa, like, she just has this killer line which is, and I did nothing.
I love this. This is so good.
It's so good. And credit to WWE, because they could have just taken the safe route, because they've got all the anti-bullying stuff, they've got all the women's equality stuff and the anti-body shaming stuff. So they could have taken the easy route and just built a feud on nonsense.
You could have
Banks and Bayley.
I was about to say they could have built a feud on people being frenemies and then throwing each other into lockers and then one of them asking to raise the other one's hand and then eliminations from the Royal Rumble and Elimination Chamber and then some backstage stuff and then accompanying each other to ringside and then sort of helping but sort of not. Speaking of which...
Yeah, so, I mean, you want to go into the 10-woman tag now?
Oh, yeah, no, I forgot we've got another match here, haven't we?
So Finn Balor and Seth Rollins beat The Miz Taraj. Yeah. So that was the big reveal. Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas just came out as The Miz Taraj again, which was... I thought they were going to do something better.
Underwhelming.
Yeah, and I'm also pretty disappointed that Rollins and Finn are just now best buds again. Because I thought that sort of professional rivalry thing had real promise.
But again,
leading up to Mania.
That's where I feel like Raw is just on pause for the moment until we get Greatest Royal Rumble and Backlash out of the way.
Credit to Seth Rollins, though. I thought his hot tag was
it was wonderful.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, great stuff.
The dive outside, the curb stomp, then he tagged Finn Balor, did a dive over the top rope to take out Bo, and then that left Finn to do the coup de grace on Curtis for the win. That was really good, really well timed. But yes, the main event was a 10-woman tag.
But backstage, we got all the Raw women standing in a row. Is this a natty thing? Is this what happens when Natalya goes to shows? Is that she just walks in and is like, guys, this is how you hold a meeting. I stand in the center and you form a line either side of me, and then we say our bits. Like that's how we cut promos. This is how we do it. I don't know how you Raw women do it, but over on the Land of Opportunity, this is how we cut promos.
Yeah, it was bad. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
but
awful.
Nia Jax, I can't remember what she said. She had a good line, I think.
I don't know, but I was just baffled by. I was just too busy focusing on Natalya. I was like, is this your doing?
And then Banks, it's in her contract. I must have at least one semicircle promo a week.
Yeah, but it's not even a semicircle. Semicircle would have dimensions.
That's a good
point. This is a straight line.
Banks and Bayley stared at each other at the end of it.
Oh, I'm so over this feud. I'm so over.
I don't know what the point is.
If I'm so unimpressed by the Roman Reigns Brock Lesnar feud since WrestleMania. I've lost all interest in this feud. I hate to say that because I really, really like Bayley and I really like Sasha Banks. Their feud going into TakeOver Brooklyn and all the stuff that happened after that was awesome. But this has been awful. It's been a poorly told story and no one could possibly care. Like them, they're on the same tag team again this week.
If it was obviously going so bad, why not just draft them to separate brands?
Exactly. And as I said on Sunday's video, Bayley should have gone to SmackDown, or one of them, just getting them as far away from each other as possible. And Bayley is really going to struggle now on this brand, particularly because they clearly see Sasha as the biggest star, and Ronda is going to be dominating this division. So, yeah, it's going to be a bad old year for Bayley.
So this 10-woman tag, which they promoted as being like this week's version of the 10-man tag from the previous week, which was nicely pointed out. This one had a lot more story, though. That last week's was just like a house show thing, but this was actually had some bits in, unless you're Banks and Bayley. That was completely dropped for this match.
Yep.
So it was Natalya because what she lacks in backstage promo ability, she makes up for in selling.
Yep.
She had Mickey, was it, in a sharpshooter, and Sarah Logan did a chop block on her leg, and she sold her knee very well.
Yeah, so just before this, my two notes that I did make, I thought Ember Moon looked absolutely awesome when she got in. It was the best that she's looked on the main roster. I thought she was so crisp with her comeback. And I think that WWE are really behind her at the moment because they didn't give a lot of people moments to shine in this match. But the two people they really did give moments to shine were Ember Moon and Ronda, which we'll come on to later. And I just thought that Ember Moon looked absolutely awesome. And actually, I was quite impressed with Sarah Logan. I thought Sarah Logan looked really decent in this as well.
She's always been decent and solid in the ring. At the end of this, of course, Ronda looked great. All those other people did well. Mickie James is the constant here. It's like no mistake that we keep going, man, this was a good match. Mickie James is involved in all of these things.
Yes, very true.
Very underrated.
True. Yeah, it really is.
The silent hero.
And it was funny as well because when they advertised this as like this 10-man tag, my first thought was, oh man, I really wish Ronda had been a part of this. It really, I felt like it would have been a really good thing to kind of establish Ronda as a wrestler rather than a celebrity that just comes out for her celebrity appearances. She's a part of this active roster. I thought that would have been a really nice, thing for her to be in this 10-man tag. And then when they did the injury to Natalya, I suddenly was like, oh, we're going to get Ronda, though. We are going to get Ronda. And I suddenly found myself getting really excited.
Yeah.
Because I'm popping for Ronda now. Like, since WrestleMania, I think she's really, really awesome. And I was like, man, I can't wait till Ronda comes out. I think Ronda's going to be great.
Well, she's Braun Strowman levels of star power. Nia Jax got a bit of the Braun heat when she was tagged in for the eventual hot tag. And she took out everyone ringside. She was on the apron and all the other women were warring down just beneath that, and she just kind of like flops into them, doesn't she? There wasn't a dive or a jump, it was just falling into them, and it
catch me.
It took out everyone apart from Mickie James. Did you notice that Alexa Bliss didn't do anything
in this match? I didn't notice that.
So,
she's wearing a t-shirt as well, wasn't she?
Well, it's she's had a
she's
got some implants apparently.
Well, yes, so I've heard.
Yeah, in the boobs.
Yes, she's had a boob job. Yes.
Apparently they mentioned it on the Observer that she's probably protecting herself because she's only had it done very recently, which is why she wasn't on the show last week, wasn't in the South Africa tour, yada yada yada. So Mickie is still up, and at this point Ronda Rousey is helping out Natty at ringside, who's selling it really well.
It wasn't quite that. So Natty had got up. And Mickie then ran across the ring to attack Natty again to get even more... Because actually I thought that Natty did a really good sell job on the outside. And then Ronda's music hit, Mickie got into the ring, and Ronda tended to Natty, and then Mickie attacked Ronda. And
what are you doing?
And it was. I did write down in my notes here, I was like, that seems like a mistake.
Yeah. What good is going to come of this, Mickie?
And then Ronda just gives her the death stare, gets in the ring, and hits... This was absolutely awesome. She just gets in there, takes her down and locks in the armbar. Mickie is instantly tapping. Ronda just looks so smooth, so crisp. I was talking to Steve of Stephen Larson fame on Twitter this morning, and he made the excellent point. Name dropping. He made the excellent point. He's like, she's a natural, and I was like, yeah, man, I totally agree with you.
She's a natural after a year of training.
Well, yeah, Kurt Angle is, some of these people that can just pick it up really quickly. You can talk about that. You've seen some of the NXT people they've had that have been there for like 12 years and they're still like green as goose.
But they're getting like half an hour a week. I think Ronda had all of the time. Like everything was moved aside for her. So yes, Ronda, very good.
She looked awesome.
But of course, she cost her friend the match. The heels won by DQ.
Yeah.
Because they rang the bell right away, and I thought, Is Mickey tapping?
I know.
Did they just give Ronda the win?
The commentators did go, Ronda's not part of this match. Like,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
didn't win. Michael was like, no, she did get her team DQs. Well, her friends DQ.
And then Ronda helps Natalya up the ramp. That's definitely going to happen. Like, a turn's going to happen down the road.
Yes.
Apparently, Ronda is booked against Mickey for the European tour.
Yeah, I
So
saw
this
she was
builds
booked
up
against her in Paris at the very least. But I know she's booked to wrestle on the UK house shows.
And the announcers are just throwing to the Greatest Royal Rumble at the end.
Yeah.
Big go-home angle.
Cool.
So, yes, what did you think? I gave it a 2 out of 5.
Ooh, a poor.
Yeah, but it was I started off with a low average, but then I thought, man, nothing happened, and there is a lot to dislike if you look for it.
Yeah.
And I'm really not into the Roman Brock stuff. Like, not just not into it, but I actively dislike it now quite strongly.
And I think that's fair enough. I'd have gone a low average.
Yeah.
I'm not into.
It was close.
I'm not into much of the stuff that's on this show at the moment. Anyway, as I said, I just feel like it's on pause until after Backlash. But I did pop for Ronda. I really like the Alexa Bliss promo.
Drew McIntyre.
And Braun's hot tag.
Yeah.
So there was 4 things in this 3-hour show, and Kevin and Sami, 5 things that I really enjoyed.
So that's all we've got time for today. Please click the videos that have just appeared on our laps to catch up with the latest WrestleTalk videos. Go to wherever you get your podcasts from and click subscribe on WrestleRamble. Some people search for Rumble, and I don't think it turns up. WrestleRamble, because tomorrow in the SmackDown review, we will have our review of Avengers Infinity War, which we're going to go and freak out a little bit about now.
Yes.
I've been Ollie Davis, this has been Luke Owen, and that was Rambling.